All right, we're here. It also helps if I mute the actual stream. But yeah, I switched scenes and I'm like still hearing the song and everything, and it freaks me out. Everybody, smile and wave. Is that dude making a reference to like the billion-year-old movie Madagascar? Yes. Yes, he is. It's a good. It again. It says fifth on the podcast. By the way, I forgot. That's the one thing that I forgot to do. We're actually gonna delete this shit from. There we go. Do you want to delete? Boom. Yes, I want to delete it. Good fucking riddance. It also has the wrong topic, because the topic thing is not even open for me. Because of course it's not. It is, you know, not a Pantsless podcast without massive fucking. Everybody knows.
It has to, yeah, there has to be some kind of technical issue or it wouldn't be a Pantsless podcast.
Yeah. Or if we're on time, something is terribly wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope that works right there. Welcome everybody. My name is Tamalo. With me here is Gradigi and Northern Savant. Trevor is not here because Trevor is working. Instead we have Pikachu Face. As a you know, keeping us company. I'm gonna keep Trevor's name there because fuck it. He's with this podcast in spirit, I guess. How's everyone doing?
I'm actually doing okay. It's not I've been keeping myself busy at work, so I'm not just sitting around doing nothing literally all day. So pretty okay with that.
I'm going a little bit cuckoo right now.
I almost destroyed my mouse, so I had to get a new one. And this has like optical switches. They feel a little bit more smooshy than the normal clicky ones, but so far so good.
Yeah, I feel I've been. This is like week 3 of my summer vacation. I haven't done anything aside from play games and watch the entire series of Entourage. I watched on Netflix. I watched Casa de Papel, Money Heist. I started watching a show called Norsemen, which is a Norwegian comedy show about Vikings. Now, the interesting about that show is actually that they film it first in Norwegian, and after every scene, they do the scene again, but in English. So it's not dubbed; it's the characters speaking English, and because they're Norwegian, all the actors, of course, their English is like shit. It's like worse than mine, but it fits so good. It's like a parody show. And it's a little bit violent, and I actually enjoy it. It's surprisingly funny.
I've watched all of what's on Netflix for Norsemen, and it is actually pretty funny. It's basically, I'm pretty sure they're just riding on the backs of that Viking show, because the lead, like the main woman, even kind of looks like the main woman from Viking.
No shit, really does.
Yeah, like a lot.
Yeah.
But it is actually pretty good. And like you said, it does actually have some violence in it, so it's actually a little actiony while being pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I found it like really randomly too. Like, I've never heard of the show before. Fuck, today, I guess.
You watched it all today?
Not everything.
Oh, okay.
Couple of episodes. Yeah, and I watched a bunch of movies. I watched Armageddon today, the hit movie from 1998, directed by Michael Bay, the greatest American director ever.
I think it's not a bad movie.
It's a pretty shit movie.
No, it's not. I loved that movie when I was a kid.
See, I loved that movie too when I was a kid, and I watched that today, and whoo boy, it is not good.
The only thing I remember about that movie is the scene where they all sing. That's it. That's the only thing I remember about the movie Armageddon.
See, I remember the stupidity that why do you send drillers to space and all that, and I remember that more action set pieces. What I did not remember is the very Michael Bay kind of thing that he does with his movies, that they're super fuck yeah America.
Hell yeah, as they should be. Fuck yeah, America.
Yeah. But it's not even like in every he does a lot of this, like he does these shots from like beneath people that they appear bigger. He does that a lot, and while like epic music is and the people that are like walking or some shit and look like mean and shit, and it's like fuck yeah.
Yeah, he's a big fan of like starting at the feet and then just panning up, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's Michael Clark Duncan or whoever that big guy was. It's like, oh my gosh, who would have thought?
Honestly, like I don't think Michael Bay movies are good, but I must admit I enjoy his movies because they're so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. I was watching a reviewer, and I think he put like his feelings on the first Transformers the best. It's the most memorable Transformers. It is not good. That doesn't mean it's a good movie, but it is the only one that's memorable.
It's honestly like weird how much like, and yeah, they are more fun than good, and you have to like have them. You can't watch them as a serious movie, like not the Transformers or Armageddon or anything else fucking Michael Bay has done.
Can he be serious looking at explosions though?
What other movies has Michael Bay made?
Before the Transformers, he did a bunch of like one-off movies like Armageddon, but I honestly don't remember any of them. I have seen some of them. His very, very early work is not anything like the normal Michael Bay that he's today. He used to be like a respectable director. Oh, he did Pearl Harbor.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a respectable movie, but...
I did not realize he did Pearl Harbor. That's interesting.
He's even... Yeah, he did Bad Boys, The Rock. Bad Boys was his first one. And like the Bad Boys and The Rock are, in my mind, they're not even bad movies. They're like actual good movies. And then he did Pearl Harbor and Bad Boys 2, The Island, which I have not seen, I think. And then
The
there's
Rock
a bunch of
is a real good movie.
Is The Island the one with Ewan McGregor? Like a clone?
Yes. Yes.
That is a good. Also, I might have just spoiled the whole thing. My bad. If you haven't seen it, forget what I said.
I honestly heard only Evan McGregor, and I'm like, in that my wheels. Yeah, it's Evan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah,
I did watch Michael Bay's new movie, The Six Underground, like a couple months ago. It's on Netflix, and it is like probably the biggest piece of shit movie that he's ever made.
But was it fun? Because it looked like another one of those movies that wasn't good, but you could still enjoy if you turned off your brain.
It was boring.
Ooh.
Like the movie literally starts with a 30-minute car chase scene. And it's like, it's too long. You have to like tone it down. Like you can't start with a 30-minute car chase scene. It doesn't work like that. It gets just, it's boring. That's what it is. This is the crux of it, I guess. Well, shit.
I wish I could say I was surprised, but I'm kind of not.
Who is not? Who would be surprised? Honestly, whatever Michael Bay does. So keep the show rolling. Oh, actually, I don't know if how does any of this will look. Oh, it doesn't show. Of course, it doesn't show. It's okay. Let's do that. Since this is an Animal Crossing podcast these days, it's disguised as a video game podcast, but it's actually, in actuality, it's an Animal Crossing podcast. Mm-hmm. And because it is, we need to talk about it. Why are we talking about Animal Crossing, though?
That's a great question.
Because.
Oh, I think
turnips. That's why.
It's not the turnips.
I made 1.5 million bells on my last turnips in the stock market, so I'm pretty pumped right now.
Okay.
Making that dough.
But we're talking about Animal Crossing because Animal Crossing is unfortunately banned in China.
What?
It's
Yeah.
it's because those fuckers used Animal Crossing as a meeting place for pro democracy of Hong Kong and shit.
Dude, it's even bigger than that. This sparked like massive upheaval in China's government. Like they're banning all online chatting because of this.
Yeah, that is
You can't
true.
talk to anyone outside of China now. I don't know if it's implemented yet, but eventually they won't be able to communicate online at all unless you're in China.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. That they're restricting people's like access more and more to even like talk to people outside of China.
Yeah,
That is fucked up.
Yeah, this is. I mean, it is a tyrannical regime, a dictatorship, and there is no other way to describe it. It is literally suppressing people in every way imaginable. I do tip my hat to Nintendo though for not altering Animal Crossing in any way or trying to suppress these players themselves. So at least Nintendo had more balls than Blizzard.
Yeah, how is it going to be in the future if you're going to like release a game in China? Is it gonna be like you only have like quick chat commands like go left and you would have to press 1 and 2 to say
I
that
could
out loud?
definitely. That's actually
Like how they
probably
use in some MMOs, you have if you
Yeah.
get like chat ban, you have to like use quick chat, which is
I could
basically
definitely
pre-made.
see them going to that.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered that, but I could definitely see them going to that just so they don't have to put in like any kind of monitoring stuff. Because there's all kinds of games that already, kowtow to China's demands. So like in WoW, they changed all the meat everywhere, like all the raw meat into bread, which includes gore and viscera. So like you would just see somebody like laying on the ground with like a chunk of their muscle, what's supposed to be their meat on the ground, but China doesn't allow meat or like flesh or skeletons in their games. So in the original WoW, there was just a piece of bread laying next to a dead guy. Look it up, man. There's just bread everywhere because they replaced the model for the gore with the model for bread, because the same model that's used for gore is used for meat in dinners in WoW. So there's no difference between food meat and gore meat. So just all meat is now bread in Chinese WoW.
Okay. I knew that the sensor machine that's in place in China is vast and huge. I've heard that the skeleton thing is a thing that skeletons are not allowed, which is really odd. But I'm assuming the censorship machine changes periodically. I think more things are added to it as time passes on and as they crack down on people more there. And I mean, yeah, sure, like any game developer, just they need to play by China's rules if they want to sell their game there. So I mean, it's whatever on that front. But I don't know. It's I don't want this discussion to go back to the same fucking discussion we've already had multiple times about developers like bowing down to China and everybody else bowing down to China for that matter.
Yeah.
It's just sad that a game like Animal Crossing even gets like the ban hammer there. But those pesky protesters, I guess.
Yeah. Those pesky people wanting their freedoms.
Yeah. Gotta crack down on that. Fuck. So I guess like Animal Crossing, I don't know. I actually don't know what relationship Japan has with China overall, or Nintendo for that matter. I assume they want to make money, so I assume that they might do some changes. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know how much does Nintendo update their games.
It just depends from title to title. I mean, things like, do you mean like patch or like add in additional content?
I'm thinking more about patching in this sense.
They've actually already patched Animal Crossing like 4 or 5 times since it came out.
Oh, okay.
So some games, most of the time, if it's just a single player game, they pretty much never touch it. But with games like that, then they actually patch them pretty regular.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, that means that I don't see it as impossible for Nintendo to patch something in that would prohibit like people expressing their willingness for freedom and whatever.
I guess making a special edition Animal Crossing would make sense because you can sell it to another billion people.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, and certainly like, especially games, get altered depending on what region they go to. I mean, good, not to like constantly crack on China, but even like Germany, they have like very specific laws against Nazi imagery and depiction of Nazism. So even games like Wolfenstein, they get heavily like censored for the German market. Like you, even in Wolfenstein, the new Colossus, which is this after New Order, I think, the latter game of the two. In that game, you meet Hitler, and he, in all the versions except the German version, he has the Hitler stash. But in the German version, he literally does not have the stash because you can't depict him as Hitler. Otherwise, he just looks the same. He just doesn't have the stash.
I know a big one for the US is I don't know if they still do. I'm sure they do, but they probably just avoid it altogether anymore. Is Nintendo has had to censor out crosses in tons and tons of their games whenever they bring them over to the US. As well as like card games and stuff will often censor out crosses as well, and even like anime and stuff.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Is it something because it like the red cross is copyrighted or something, so it has to be a different color or a different sign?
It's purely a religious thing. It's just that they don't want their games associated with Christianity, and just to have them, because over there, that doesn't mean nearly the same thing as it does here. I think over there it's more just like a generic holy symbol, where over here it's a much more personal thing. I wish that all those instances of crosses would be still in those things. I think that would be sick to make, but yeah, like I said, even like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic the Gathering and stuff like that is to a degree has censored themselves for Christianity whenever they're brought over.
Japan overall also, like, religion in Japan is a little weird. They can believe like in Shinto and then like have a Christian wedding, and like they mix and match like religions, and not necessarily like conforming into one specific religion. Buddhists, of course, may be a little bit different, but they're not really exclusive to Japan in the first place.
Yeah.
But overall, I think Japan as overall they're not a religious country.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Yeah, I think they're more of a spiritual country than anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it sucks that Animal Crossing is getting the hammer, like the fucking cutest game in the planet, and China still finds a way to hate it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's ridiculous more than anything else, I think. So, to move on, I have a bunch of like small stories. I'm like, it's like I'm playing roulette with myself. What to choose next?
I actually have a story that I could bring up.
Oh, sure, why not?
That Pedley actually pointed out to me earlier today. The entire source code for Counter-Strike Go and Team Fortress 2 was leaked.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally the stuff that you have to pay this huge licensing fee for got leaked out for free today.
Yeah. I also heard that it might be the same leak that happened in 2018.
Like the same person, or?
Not that it's the exact same leak that happened in 2018. I'm not sure though. I only saw the headlines about this shit, but
But
yeah,
what are like the consequences for that? Is it like we're gonna have CSGO knockoffs now?
Probably. I would assume that that's probably what it would be, is just people having, and who knows, like what I don't know what programmers can do with source code, but yeah, I would assume that there would just be a lot of knockoffs of that and TF2.
Yeah, or like trademark. I don't know, trademark.
I mean, Valve will
coding.
sue the shit out of anybody who uses that source code.
Yeah.
Unless you're
for
Chinese.
sure, yeah. If they're able to prove it, absolutely they'll sue the crap out of them.
Oh,
If they could find the guy who leaked it, he would be in prison yesterday. Like that's, I guarantee they're probably chomping at the bit to try to find out who this guy was.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a huge issue with like because there's a lot of games that have like these Chinese knockoffs that are like exact same game that we're playing here in the West, but they're just made by a Chinese company, and they look the same and they play the same. They might have different art assets or something. Then it's like a huge issue. But like companies based in Europe or US, they can't sue those Chinese companies because the Chinese court system is, well, it's not blind for that matter. It's very biased towards Chinese companies. So a lot of these Western companies, they just collectively decided by themselves that they're not going to sue these Chinese companies. But the minute those games, if they ever land anywhere outside of China, then they could sue in that area where they're selling that game. So you're
was it like? Is it going to be like? Was it like PUBG or Fortnite sued each other, but the suing happened in like Korea, so it would be their law instead of like U.S. law or.
I mean, Bluehole is based in South Korea in the first place. The PUBG guys. There was.
Now go ahead.
I think Bluehole tried to sue a Chinese company that made a PUBG knockoff a couple of years ago.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if that lawsuit ever like went anywhere. But overall, it's very difficult for Western companies to sue Chinese companies in China because the court system is so biased towards Chinese companies.
Yeah, because typically whenever you sue somebody, the location of the person you're suing is the court system that has precedence. So it's not like you could drag someone over here from Korea and make them do, U.S. law. You'd have to go over to Korea and then hope that you're still in the right there. Or China or wherever.
Definitely.
Yeah, it could be interesting. It would be nice if someone actually took this source code and actually did make, I mean, they're going to be knockoffs, but you can still make good knockoffs.
Oh yeah. I have a hard time like thinking we'll actually see those because Valve is going to shut anything down that appears. Most likely, at least.
Except if it's in China.
Yeah, I mean, well, we don't live there, so.
Yeah.
It's do you want to play a knockoff game or do you want to have freedom and whatever?
Freedom.
It's pretty
knockoff game or Animal Crossing North. You can't have both.
Yeah. God damn. But yeah, like, sucks that the source code got leaked. I mean, I think it really like damages Valve mostly, and I really believe that they're probably really mad about it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean that's probably, I mean that's, who knows how much potential money that is by that getting leaked.
Yeah, I mean, certainly on some form of like black market. I have no idea if there's like a source code black market somewhere or the deep web.
Yeah.
But I assume that any source code, like all source code, is valuable. So, but probably is somebody who would pay good money for that.
Yep. But now they can just get it for free.
Yeah. Yeah. So, did you guys hear that? I can't spell. This is like the biggest issue that I have. I can't type and talk at the same time. I try my best, but it's super difficult. And since the guys have no idea what the next topic is, I need to like set it up and type at the same time, and it's fucking impossible. It just means I'm stupid. But Capcom has really showed their willingness to remake their old games, like primarily Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3. Now, these are rumors, but apparently Resident Evil 4 Remake is in active and full development. And honestly, I'm a little bit surprised. Because it's not like RE4 has aged poorly.
No, I think that RE4, I mean, it still looks like, not a modern game, but I don't think it looks or plays that bad from what I remember.
And here's one thing to consider too. Resident Evil 4 Remaster was released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox in 2016, and it was released on Nintendo Switch last year.
That's real recent.
Yeah, that's what I think is like kind of weird. How many? And I mean, looking at the release list, it has been released in 2005, 2007, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2013, 2016, and 2019 on various different devices and like remasters and originals and whatever. My point is that there's been a lot of RE4 releases throughout the years.
Yeah.
So if it's true that a remake is in active and full development, then my first question is why?
Maybe they want to retell the story in a new way, or maybe they want to link it to the new remakes and have like continuity to the story.
I mean, how much can they switch up the story of 4, because 4 is super isolated first and foremost. It's just Leon on a rogue mission somewhere in bumfuck nowhere trying to save a president's daughter and shit. And that's about it.
It's a remake. They can
I mean, they
make
can take liberties.
make whatever.
I feel like that would just be such a waste of effort to remake that game. Because like the first, I know nothing about 3. I haven't even seen gameplay of the original 3, but I have seen quite a bit of gameplay of 1 and 2, and they're clunky as hell. The first 2 are slow, they're clunky, the controls are weird, the camera angles are bad. That's my opinion. I'm not a Resident Evil fan, so there's no no nostalgia involved. So I do think that those needed an update if people still wanted to experience those stories. But RE4 has a lot of still very modern controls and things about it. Like there's not really that much that needs updated. They should just make a new game.
Maybe they just know that RE4 in itself is a good IP, so they just take the IP and try to sell a different game in the same, having the same name, because they know it's gonna sell, because people gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember when I played this back in the day.
RE4 is still regarded as the best Resident Evil game.
Yeah, it's
just
gonna
confusing
sell.
for me because I think RE4 is not a survival horror game. It's more of an action game.
Yeah, and from what I understand, that was really the big turning point that kind of flowed into 5 and 6 for them being less survival and more just action.
Definitely. If the rumors are true, it's also worth mentioning that it would not be Capcom who makes this remake, but one of they've contracted a third-party developer to do it. I don't remember the name of the third-party developer, but it's helmed by ex-Platinum Games developers. For those who don't know, Platinum Games, most notably known for making Nier Automata.
It's still kind of weird if RE4 is one of their best IPs. Why give it away? Why let someone else do it?
Were the last 3 like made by someone else, or were they remade by Capcom?
RE2 and RE3?
Yeah.
They were redone by Capcom.
I wonder why they'd want to hand that off now. Like North said, I mean, that's their biggest selling title. Why would they? I don't think I would risk handing that off to another company.
Maybe
I'm not sure.
They offered a good chunk of money. I don't know.
What? Yeah.
Or maybe they're just busy making RE8.
See, that's what I'm hoping. That is my personal hope, that they're just like fully focused on RE8, which is, again, rumors, scheduled for release on like Q2 next year, so like before summer.
It almost makes me wonder if they're hedging their bets a little bit. They're like, okay, this other company, you guys go make RE4. It's gonna sell no matter what because it's RE4. And if they don't like it, there's still RE4 that they can play, and it's still good. Meanwhile, we're just gonna go ahead and make a new game that will also sell off the hype of RE4.
Now, again, rumors. If they're true, RE4 would be scheduled to release 2022, while RE8 is scheduled for next year. And like, I don't know. Like, honestly, if RE4 gets a real remake and that it looks as amazing as RE2 and RE3, I'll play it. But I honestly don't know what can they really do for that game to make it fresh and new as the 2 previous ones.
Now, 7 was first person, right? Because it was all VR, all that. You don't think that they would think about making 4 first person, do you?
No, absolutely not.
I wouldn't think so, but with it being such an action-based game, I didn't know if 7 was them like kind of dabbling into that FPS realm to see how it worked out in that kind of scenario. But
RE8 is reportedly going to be first person, though.
It is?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm totally down for RE8 being first person. I think 7 worked very well because it was first person.
I think what RE7, RE8 is gonna be is something that is untapped market. There isn't a lot of AAA horror games out there. At least I don't know. I don't play horror, but I haven't heard about any major horror titles that would be like considered AAA.
I mean, so, I sure as shit paid $60 for RE3. If that's not AAA, then I don't know what the fuck is.
Yeah, but is it horror?
No, but I paid also $60 for RE2, and if that's not fucking AAA, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, but RE2 is more like horror, but there isn't like another horror game.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and I do agree that like horror is a niche, and there's not a whole lot of horror games out there.
Yeah, it seems like we might get, like, if we're lucky, one halfway decent horror game a year, maybe.
Yeah.
Like back when I talked about Alien Isolation on the podcast, I still think it's way fucking better than the critical reception was at the time when it came out, and it is by far the best horror game I've ever played, and I would fucking kill for another one like that one.
What was the... I'm trying to remember, is it Outlast 2 where you're like a guy in the middle of a bunch of zombie rednecks?
Yeah.
Something like that. You're like on... I watched somebody play that, and that actually seemed like a pretty good horror game, but I think it's a few years old now.
I played Outlast 1 on stream, and I was asking chat about Outlast 2 when I finished, And the kind of consensus of people in chat was that 2 is way less horror than 1, and it's more kind of stealth and gore.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would definitely. I watched someone play it for just a couple hours, and I would definitely agree. It's definitely way more stealth and gore, because that's, I'd say 90% of the game is you just sneaking around and then like looking around a corner and then you see them doing something gruesome. And I think that like that's the whole thing is you're just not, the fear is hoping that that doesn't happen to you, but nothing ever actually scares you. You're just worried. You're just anxious the whole time.
In that case, then I say Outlast 1 is definitely more horror. Like the fear in Outlast 1 is that you have the camera and you're walking in dark corridors and you have the night vision on that. And the real fear that you can run out of batteries. And the real fear that when you see someone and the eyes, they glow up because that's how human eyes work. And the fuckers just run towards you and they will kill you. Like that's the real horror in Outlast 1. And I do appreciate it. I think Outlast 1 is definitely a good horror game. It goes a little bit off the rails once you get to the kind of the finale of the game, but it's definitely really, really up there. Alien Isolation, though, is still, because it in my mind it has that AAA status, and because it looks so fucking good and it sounds so fucking phenomenal, and because the alien is a real threat, and because you're defenseless for so long in that game, the horror is so goddamn powerful in that game.
Yeah, and like the idea that there's someone stalking you at all times, and you can hear like the footsteps going above you, like boom, boom, and a little bit dust falls in front of you, and then it becomes super quiet, and then you hear it again walking on your left side. Boom, boom. That's just like the atmosphere it creates. It's so powerful.
Sound design is definitely 10 out of 10 in Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Outlast 2, now that you mentioned the camera thing, that is still the gimmick in 2. But I feel like all the spooky stuff that happens, that like the gore and the viscera that you see, all happens in the light. So like you're not even like looking through the thing, watching something spooky happen, and then like it's just the darkness while you don't want to kill your battery. It seems like all the like tortury scenes and the gory scenes just happened in a well lit place anyway.
Or it's like a cutscene, like it forces you to take out the camera and look at it, like you can't put it away. Not like
it's
that.
Not even that. Like you it's just a lit up area. Like they'll just be in a house with the lights on, and you were like crawling under the floorboard, and you peek your head up, and it's just lit up. That's how a lot of the like creepier scenes end up. They're just you watching it happen, and maybe if they hadn't done that and left more up to your imagination by making you just kind of glance at it every once in a while whenever that stuff is happening, maybe that would have helped the kind of the fear factor on that. But yeah, most of it just happened in the light.
That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah,
because I definitely I agree that if it's left up, like your imagination is way more powerful than what could ever be on the screen.
Yeah, but the buddy I watched play it, he did say he enjoyed it, but I do think he said it wasn't as good as 1.
So. Yeah, I'm not trying to like say that Outlast 2 is a bad game. I haven't played it, only what I've heard. And for me, it's kind of like when people talk about horror games. There's been more and more horror games I play. And especially if I talk about them here, like RE3 for instance. I didn't call RE3 a horror game, because inherently I don't believe RE3 is a horror game. It might have zombies there that you have to avoid. It might have nemesis. That's not horror. I think it's an action game from start to finish. Just because you slap the Resident Evil name on it, it doesn't mean that it's horror.
Yeah, it's more like a thriller or something.
Yeah. I mean, Dead Rising isn't horror. It's loaded with zombies. Zombies don't just innately mean that it's a horror game.
Yeah. And obviously, like horror, I think horror is also somewhat subjective. Like either you get scared or you don't get scared. But I mean, if I have near infinite ammo to shoot the zombies, I'm not gonna get scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, RE4 remake in development, supposedly. Who the fuck knows these days? Capcom seems to be hell-bent on remaking every goddamn game they have, aside from Dino Crisis. Get fucking on it, Capcom.
Maybe that's what they're working on. Maybe they're like, we can't spend our time and effort on RE4. We really need to get in this Dino Crisis. I'd be fine with that.
I don't even know if it's a good game. I'm just on the hype train with the rest of the fuckers.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'm pretty sure... Was that a light gun game in arcades too, or was it only on consoles? I might be thinking of Time Crisis.
Time Crisis definitely was in arcades.
Yeah.
Dino Crisis I've only seen on PS1.
Dang. I still want it. It's got dinosaurs in it. Who doesn't want to hunt dinosaurs?
Yeah, and I mean, I honestly have no fucking idea if... Because it's touted as a survival horror game. Like RE. But
I didn't know that.
But I have no idea if it's even horror or survival horror. Well, yeah.
Yeah. They're just on that.
Yeah, go on.
They're on that remake grind just like everyone else. That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, that
run out of game to remake, and then we'll get new content again.
That's true. It seems like there's a development cycle for a brand new game is so long these days that they're willing to remake or remaster older titles to have something in between. So I mean, a 20-year-old game is not going to be as expansive as a game like released today. I mean, obviously it depends on what kind of project you're doing, but overall remasters seem to be like way easier to do. Remakes a little bit different though.
Yeah. But even then, like the remakes do to have a way shorter development cycle. You don't have to worry about storyboarding and all of that. You already have the outline, so it's I don't have anything. I know a lot of people say that, you know, the gaming industry is running out of ideas and that's why they're doing all this remasters and stuff. But I mean, personally, how many people that played the Resident Evil 1 remake or 2 remake or 3 even, how many of those people played that and absolutely loved it and would have never even considered touching the old games, you know? Sometimes just to let people experience that's worth it.
Yeah, and that's on like a same kind of like argument that I could make is how many younger players are there, the ones that are 18, 19 today and never seen the original, and they're playing them for the first time now in the remake form. I mean, I was a kid when RE 1 and 2 came out and I was scared of those games. My dad played RE1 and I literally cried to my mom that I'm afraid to sleep. I was a little pussy even back then.
I remember when I got my PS1 when I was a kid, and one of the first games I had was RE1. And I tried playing it, but it was scary as hell. And I remember so vividly that spider-type zombie going on the roof, and then it dropped down, and I was like so fucking scared. It's like, never again I played that. And I didn't even touch it after that.
Dude. That's also so powerful with the imagination, because if you look at those games back now, they look like ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way I'd be scared of that spider zombie now.
Yeah.
Because it looks like 9 polygons super glued together and stuck on a ceiling.
Exactly.
But that's funny that you say that's the part that got you.
Yeah.
Because whenever I was little, my brother and my cousin came over. He brought his PS1 over, and they set it up. And at the time, my bedroom was also my brother's room and the same room as our washer and dryer, and the same room as our breaker boxes. So we set the PS1 up on top of our dryer, and they get to that part, and it scares the shit out of me. And my mom was just like, "No, you can't play Resident Evil here. Your brother's a little bitch. You can't play that here." And I've never played anything or like sat in the same room as someone playing it since then.
It is truly scary. Like
as
first
a little
time
kid,
seeing it. Yeah,
for a little kid, it was.
For sure.
Okay. So I just want to quickly mention this. This is a little sort of off topic. So I read a lot of games news from a lot of outlets, and some of the journalists or writers I know by name, and arguably the biggest games journalist right now is Jason Schreier, who has been the lead writer for Kotaku for I guess 8 years or some shit. He left Kotaku. He works for Bloomberg now.
Oh gosh, that is a hard swing.
Yeah. Wow. Now it seems that Jason wants to write more about the games industry itself, and not game reviews or anything like that. And I mean, if anybody has not read the expose Jason wrote on Anthem, it is like a fine piece of journalism. And truly, like, it highlights the troubles of Anthem's development really well. And Jason has done multiple of those in the same way. The Anthem one just blew up on him because, well, Anthem was such a high profile game in the first place. I think he sees probably himself more as an author than a reviewer or anything like that. And with Bloomberg, he can focus more on that industry side of writing. And I believe they probably offered him way more money than he ever made on Kotaku. I wish I was everything well for Jason. Even though he gets a lot of flack from a lot of people on Reddit especially, I don't hate him or anything. I think he does a good job. I think he's impartial, and I think he is not really that biased towards anyone particular. And he is critical about the games industry, even though he worked for Kotaku that needs to kiss the games industry's ass.
Yeah. Well, if that's what he wants to do. I mean, from what I understand, they don't really, Bloomberg doesn't really control what their authors put out, as far as like censorship goes. So, but I don't know that much about him at all, other than that.
Yeah, it depends on what side of Bloomberg you work for.
Yeah.
Because there's Bloomberg News, and then there's Bloomberg Finances. The finance side is a little bit different because they report a lot about like the market, which is like valuable information. Yeah. The news side is a little bit more controlled by editors.
Yeah, I know that they are a primarily conservative website, I believe. So.
They are.
But let's not get into politicals here tonight.
Yeah, I don't believe like Jason obviously is embedded in the games industry, and that's what he writes about.
Yep.
So I'm going to keep an eye on him. I mean, I do follow him on Twitter and stuff, so
yeah.
Hopefully he has a good career. Good luck, Jason, I guess. You don't know me, and I don't know you, but I bet you watch this podcast. Yeah.
But if you know us, make an article about us. Yeah. How about that?
Would you come on the podcast, Jason?
Yeah, would you come on the podcast?
I can remove Pikachu from the thing. Fuck. Now we're just kissing ass over here.
That's what you gotta do. Get those guest stars.
Yeah. So, one actually kind of odd thing. Maybe I can just copy what I've already written down. Yeah, let's do that. Hopefully it's written correctly. I think it is. Wow, that's gonna be a long fucking... Does it even fit here? Barely. Boom. Call of Duty Warzone cheaters have to play amongst themselves. This was announced, I believe, today. And
You wrote it, chatters.
No, that has 2 T's. This is cheaters.
Yeah, this is cheaters.
Cheaters. Yeah.
Me and my cheaters.
Oh man, I was hoping you were just gonna leave it.
It hurts me, man. It hurts me. Me and my cheaters.
So that's gonna be like a competition between who's got the best hacks.
Yeah.
It is also. Let's open up that shit over there. Can I just show this? Is that how this works? Blammo, yeah. So starting this week, it says so. Players in Warzone and Modern Warfare who report suspected cheaters will receive confirmation in-game when a player is banned. And so it is, and this is kind of what is a little bit worrying to me. It's suspected cheaters. It's not confirmed cheaters. But I don't know. I think it's if it's only pairs confirmed cheaters together, then fucking A, go for it. I don't have respect for those idiots who use aim hacks or wall bangs.
I'm curious if anyone from Blizzard had any say so in that decision, because Overwatch has actually been doing something similar to that since it came out. They actually, like, because you can report someone on Overwatch with for like abusive voice and stuff like that, and it will actually loop those people together. It will put you like in a queue with people that have also been reported a lot.
I mean, if Blizzard consulted or something, I don't know. They probably shared their technology.
Yeah.
With Infinity Ward. And I mean, why not? I think it's a good move. Apparently, Warzone has had a lot of cheaters. Why they can't fucking fix their problems, I don't know. But this definitely it gives a little bit more relief to the players who don't cheat, I guess.
Yeah. That's good. I think it will be funny that it will basically just boil down to who has the better hacks. I think that will be entertaining. They could probably televise that.
Yeah.
I would watch that stream.
Yeah, why not?
Just 100 cheaters playing against each other.
Who wins?
But I don't get it. Why not just... So they're basically gonna queue people who are exceptionally good or possibly hacking, but not banning. So basically everyone who is even slightly suspected of being too good, you end up being in a different queue, but not banned. But if you actually get caught cheating, you get banned.
Updated matchmaking to match suspected cheaters together. So yeah, I report someone, and if you're fucking godlike, you probably get reported a little bit more than usual. And I mean, there has to be some form of like system that if a player gets a lot of reports in a short period of time, it flags them as potential cheaters. And then it just might pair you with cheaters until you're either cleared or banned.
I don't know. It seems... I don't know. I don't like the system. It seems like you're gonna end up fucking up other people's games that are not cheating just because they're suspected of cheating.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I hope that there's some form of moderation for the system, like human moderation on like the back end to verify if a good player is cheating or not. Obviously, like, I hope this cracks down mostly on the very obvious cases where somebody just snaps at a head across the map and they get a headshot, or they track somebody through the wall and shit.
But why not straight up ban at that moment? Why queue differently?
I think it's to demoralize people. I think it's to show to those people that they're actually playing against hackers at this point.
Create another account.
Do you want to buy the game again?
I don't know. A lot of people do that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do that.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah. I actually know somebody who bought the first Counter-Strike like 5 times because he kept getting caught hacking.
I mean,
yeah. I don't know. I wonder if they'll actually tell you that you're in that cheaters queue, though.
Probably not.
Because I bet they don't. I bet you have no clue.
Probably not. But I mean, if you're a cheater, how often do you play your game and you're cheating and then you're like, you die and you fucking hacker? Like, do you have the balls to do that at that point?
Good question.
Honestly, I believe it's to fuck with those people. Like, they put them in a separate queue and anything and everything, and I hope that there's some form of human moderation to like check on these people, because if you're just really good at the game, I think you should not be punished for it. And I mean, there's people reporting other people just because they get mad. And I mean, I think we've all played an online game where all of us have been probably accused of hacking. I mean, I know I have. And I'm not even good at any game I play. So I hope there's some form of safeguards, at least, to ensure that as many real cheaters as possible get fucked.
I'd say that there probably is. I mean, there would almost have to be, or there's no, because I mean, an automated process doesn't need to review. It just has certain flags that it looks for. So I would assume that the people who are put into this cheaters queue are probably the ones that are being manually looked at.
I'm pretty sure they're gonna have something like stats. Like, basically, if you're the 1%, the top 1%, if another account has similar stats, they either have to be extremely good or just hacking. I don't know. Like, there has to be a line where there's like, you hit 99% of your shots. Like, that's inhuman. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah. But again, like, if it only is based on who gets reported, then I think the intensity of the reports have to play some form of part. Because I mean, if you're a cheater and you get like 30 kills, and it's obvious that you're headshotting everyone from snapping into the head, you probably get reported more than as opposed to just being good and getting 30 kills.
Yeah.
But yeah, player data probably has to play a part. If you hit 99% of your shots, then something's not right.
Yeah. I'd say that that's probably a pretty big portion of it, because if you hack, obviously you suck. So it's going to be real easy to see this.
Yeah.
Yesterday this guy was using riot shields and shotguns. Today he's using AK. What?
Yeah. What happened?
What happened? Did he take some kind of training camp overnight? Where did we? Yeah, I'd say that that's probably a huge part of it.
Yeah, I do agree. So,
Want to talk about 7 a little bit?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
We're going to talk a little bit about Final Fantasy VII, but we're not going to spoil anything.
Yeah. So you've already completed it, right?
Yes.
How much side stuff did you do?
All but 4 side quests.
Okay. And you put right around 40 hours into it?
30. I said wrong.
I remember you saying...
Yeah, I said wrong. I clocked in at 34 hours, I think.
Oh, okay. 34 hours.
Yeah, I remember telling my numbers to you and to Sully. I lied to both of you.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, I guess that's not a terrible amount of time for a $60 game. I think that's pretty acceptable. So what did you think about your experience with the game?
Final Fantasy VII Remake is one of the best games I've ever played in my life.
Really?
Hands down.
That's interesting.
No
Is
joke.
it better than Final Fantasy 15?
Oh, miles better.
Final Fantasy 15 is just in a league of its own in quality. From what I know. Yeah,
remember, North, that I've said that Final Fantasy 15 is the worst video game that I've ever loved. Final Fantasy VII Remake is an actual near masterpiece. I'm not joking. But keep in mind, I have massive amounts of nostalgia in my blood for it. Which Joe doesn't have.
True. Except for I realized it whenever I played it that I do have a little bit of nostalgia. And that's because I've played the first part of 7 a bunch. And I tried 7 a long time ago. So like that very intro music to 7 definitely hit me right in the nostalgia. Like getting to do that again in this remake, it definitely got me a little bit. But after that, I was free and clear to judge it to hell. And I did. I love it. I feel like this is exactly what a remake should be. It's the game plus some. Like there's nothing the fact that 12, 13, and 15 don't have this exact battle system now pisses me off. Because I feel like this is what they wanted in those games. This is the type of like action RPG game that I think that they wanted to make.
The battle system in 15 will piss you off the most. Because it is quite literally you hold down a button and stuff happens.
Yeah. I know
it's atrocious.
Yeah, it's and he'll even like zip around, right? Like do the teleporty thing just by holding down square.
Oh yeah, but you attack with the circle button and you teleport with the triangle button. So I mean, there's a little bit of like you can get confused among those two buttons for sure. You can it's a lot for some people. Like you can press the square button to block and parry in specific situations. I never did it, so I mean, because I got too confused, of course. Because that was like 3 buttons.
Yeah. 2 is enough. If it has more buttons than an NES controller, I'm not interested.
Yeah. I'm out.
Yeah. I think it's great. I think this it's exactly what a remake, especially one where they're doing something so bold as to not just remake the game, but expand upon this game's universe. Like I feel like I'm meeting Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse for the first time because they're actual people. They're not a plot device meant to jerk at your heartstrings. They're characters with developments and families, and like you find out that all these little things about them as you're talking to people. Like it turns out Biggs used to be a teacher or something. Like he used to help at the preschool, like that. So that, I mean, just that like tells you so much more about that character that we would have never known in the original game, that they're just actual people. And getting to hear all the side street chatter and seeing these people actually living in the slums instead of walking through the slums and seeing one conveniently placed NPC for dialogue. I just feel like they just nailed it. They hit it on the head and they knocked it out of the park. So far, I'm only I'm only 15 hours into it, so I'm a little under halfway.
Yeah, and I mean, like I don't want you to focus on my playtime and how many hours or I did. We will have different hours anyway. Depends on how long you take on certain things, how much you die, and how much you have to redo and whatever.
Right.
But no joke, by the end of the year, every single news outlet, YouTuber, or Twitch streamer that will have 2 games that competes for the number 1 spot. This is one of those games. It is going to be game of the year for a lot of people. And the other one will be Cyberpunk. And then there's going to be like 3 people who say Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was thinking that Final Fantasy VII is just going to be something that I have to push through. It's going to be really pretty, and I was hoping that it was going to be good, but I wasn't expecting it to be. I think I'm right on board with you. I think it'll end up being game of the year for a lot of places.
So. And also, we have some plans in motion. They're not complete in any way, but the plan is right now that next month, either episode, we don't know which one or if it's even either of them, but the plan is next month to have either one of the episodes be a 2-hour 100% spoiler episode for Final Fantasy VII. We'll do it if Sully is here. Like, Sully is a requirement. Where I'm not gonna have that episode if Sully's not here. So the plan is to have at least Joe, myself, and Sully on. North and Trevor have to. They can think amongst themselves if they want to be on an episode where we 100% are going to talk about only Final Fantasy VII and 100% spoil the entire game from start to finish, because fuck me, I have ants in my pants. I need to talk about the ending and I fucking can't do it.
Yeah, I'm legitimately thinking about taking a day off work so that I can have another huge block to sit down and play that game. Like, that's how much I liked it. I'm considering taking a day off, and it's a single player game. I can play it literally anytime at my leisure. I don't have to do, but I want to play that game. I want more of it. And I know that, like, at night, if I can only play it for like 2 or 3 hours, that's not enough for me. Even though that's what I'm going to have to do tomorrow night, I'm thinking about taking a day off next week to just get a big chunk of play into it. So we'll see if that happens.
It is like, it amazes me how well, because I remember those fucking days in Sully's chat when he was running the original 7, and there was a period of time when we talked about the remake every stream, and I remember those times when Sully even said that he doesn't believe the remake exists. I remember those times when we all were skeptical that if it ever happens. I remember those times when some Randys just came in and asked Sully, yo, have you seen anything about the remake? And then we would talk about the remake for 20 minutes. And I would dig up some old fucking screenshots and shit and look at them and be like, damn, this would be so cool. And now I've actually completed the game. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, after I finished it, I've because I watched a dude called Neohart. He runs the original game. And I watched Caleb Hart, who also runs the original game. Every part after Midgar. Spoilers, the game ends in Midgar. It's not really a spoiler, it's been like advertised everywhere. Whatever. Every point after Midgar, my mind is racing so fucking hard. How will this look? How will this play? Is this gonna be in the game? Is this gonna be in the game? What are we gonna do with this part? How about this part? Who are we gonna see here? Where's Sid? Do we get to go to space? How's the Temple of the Ancients? Where's everything gonna die?
It's the fact that I know that this 30+ hour game is only in Midgar has completely changed the way that I'm playing it compared to like 1 or the first one, obviously, because it's a totally different game. But in the first time I played through 7, I didn't spend a single penny on Aerith. And now I'm like, I'm gonna have her the whole game. I gotta get her geared to the teeth. She's a soft little baby. I can't have her running around out here.
And Aerith is, I found Aerith, like, she's not useless in combat. She's a fucking powerhouse in certain situations.
Yeah.
And I mean, you probably don't have the same skills that by the end of the game you have with her. But I mean, she fucking wrecks. And it's really, really nice to see that they made all the characters not useless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I want to point out, I like how much they say Soldier Boy. Like every 5 seconds at the beginning. Hey, Soldier Boy. Hey, Soldier Boy.
I don't think I ever noticed that.
It's
really?
Even I noticed it. I didn't say anything. I think North, because I streamed the game once, and pretty much like the opening bombing scene at that point. And I think North mentioned it, and I'm like, yeah, I fucking hear it too. It's obviously not intentional, but Barrett says a lot. Like when he says soldier, it's like soldier.
Yeah, that's funny. The amount of profanity is surprising.
Oh yeah, they swear a lot.
Yeah, like I was expecting it, because I know in the original game, even Barrett, for a game in the 90s, Barrett swore quite a bit. But like everybody swears, and like even Aerith said shit at one point. I was like, oh, Aerith, wash your mouth out.
Because. So this is a very minor spoiler. That's the only time in the game she swears. Because I kept fucking track after that. Because when she said shit, I was like, what did you say? And it's the only time in the game that she swears. Unless there's some other scene that I just missed. Because there are some scenes that you will miss on the first playthrough. But I don't believe because I know one of the scenes that I missed, and it's a scene where she does not swear, so I believe it's the only place where she says shit. It's so out of place.
Yeah, it caught me so off guard.
Yeah. And it honestly it really, like, it took me out of the game for a hot 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's really odd.
But yeah, it's everything it has so far surpassed my expectations. It's mind-blowing.
Yes. It is like, after I completed the game, I've been to a couple of streams where people stream the remake. And there's still people like who have like genuine questions just about the remake, if it's worth it and stuff. And I without like spoiling anything, I can't find any better words myself. It's a remake in every sense of the word. You are not playing a beat for beat game compared to the original. And they have taken liberties when it comes to the story. And either you're going to hate it or not, but it is, if you play the remake, judge the game as its own and don't compare it to the original. But fuck, it's so fucking good.
Just like Dark Souls.
just like Dark Souls.
Just like Dark Souls. Yeah.
I think if it ever gets ported to PC and you don't like RPGs, it is still a halfway. I mean, it's still a good game just because of how actiony it is. And even though time kind of, it slows down first, and that's what's nice, is you're not completely pausing the game like in 12 whenever you want to do your abilities. So there is still a sense of urgency. Like even, you see if you're getting hit and stuff, you'll see the sparks fly through the air while you're picking your abilities. And if someone is getting hit, you'll hear them start to cry out in pain in slow-mo. And even the more like standard RPG stuff, yeah, that's exactly what it is, North. It's just like, and I'm like, I gotta save Cloud. But even the more like typical RPG stuff is modernized in a way that it flows really seamlessly into the combat. And even whenever your character stops to do that action, it is still very fluid. It isn't like jarring. I don't feel like you're in the middle of a combo and they just stand up straight and then they do their thing. I feel like it all flows together very well. So if you're okay with RPG elements, then absolutely, I would still recommend Final Fantasy VII to an action fan.
Definitely. Voice acting is fucking superb. It looks
every single line is voice acted. That just dialogue from some kid that I didn't even read that I ran by. Blows me away how much is voice acted.
And it's really well done. And I mean, I think especially the main cast, I believe everyone. I believe when I hear Cloud speak, I believe it's Cloud that's speaking. And like every other character, even like because when before the remake came out, people were speculating fucking everything, and Heidegger was one that they speculated because Heidegger it's a goofy character in the original, and he has a very distinct laugh in the original. Now that laugh does not really exist in the remake, and I think it's for the better. They make him more human in the remake. But when he speaks, I believe it's Heidegger. I have no fucking idea who voices him, but I believe it's Heidegger.
Yeah. It's good. The voice acting for it is. I mean, I don't know. I could go on all day. We have a whole 2-hour time block dedicated to us gushing over it, so I don't want to gush too much, but it's good. If you're on the fence about getting it, just get it. I don't think you'll regret it.
On the note of a potential PC port, it's not officially announced, but there seems to be a 1-year exclusivity on the PlayStation. After it comes, it should be coming to PC. And I mean, it is going to be like, I fucking guarantee by the end of this decade, it will still be very high up on publications like list of games that were best this decade. I guarantee that.
Yeah. Yeah, this will probably be the poster child for good remakes for the rest of time. Like, as long as video games are a thing, this will be the one that everyone points to say, see, you can change literally everything about a game and it still be amazing and still get, a very similar story experience from it. So anyone who says that you can't completely update and revamp everything about a game because it'll lose its charm or whatever, you're wrong. Nothing about this game feels like the original game, mechanical wise, but everything about it is still Final Fantasy VII. And that's what's so crazy. That it's a 100% different game while still being the exact same game.
I wonder if they're gonna remake any other Final Fantasies.
I mean, they're set to remake 7 for the next, I don't know, maybe 8 years. I don't think there's anything that there's discussions they've had, but if we see a remake of any other game, let's talk about it next decade.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, you're probably right. Unfortunately.
If they do another real remake in the same, like, scope that 7, I fucking hope that they pick either FF9 or FF6.
It'll be 6, I think.
I'm also hoping to see something from like the earlier than 7, one of those older games to like see have it like total rework, because the graphics in those games are like, well, they're old.
Yeah.
I want them upgraded on a different level.
Yeah, I mean, they're 16-bit.
Yeah. As much as I would love for it to be 9, I think it'll be, if anything, it'll either be 1 or 6. I think is what they'll try to decide between if they do make another remake.
Oh really? I would say 4 or 6.
Really? See,
Four and 6 are by far the most recognizable before 7.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you're probably right. I was just thinking that they would want to do one just to say that they, like the original JRPG now remade in modern graphics. It's like
I would be just afraid that it wouldn't sell.
Oh yeah.
Like, but especially like 6 at least has a lot of people who played 6 and are nostalgic towards it. And I would be interested in seeing 6 remade because the story is fucking amazing in 6. And the even though they have a vast array of characters in 6, even that you get to play with, so many of them are so distinct. And they have their own story, their backstory, and most of them have character development throughout the game. 6 is it's an amazing game, and would be goddamn so epic if it ever would receive this sort of treatment that 7 got.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest reason the characters all being so fleshed out might be the biggest detriment to that game getting remade. Just because, like you said, every character does have their own character development, and if you take the time to do it, they all have their own little storyline, and there's like 11 characters or some crazy amount in that. They do all have their own little storylines. Yeah, to see that in a Final Fantasy VII Remake style game would be incredible, but I feel like that's a huge undertaking for them to really flesh all that out. As much as I would love to see it.
And I do agree that as a project, it would probably be way too massive.
Yeah. And yeah, it would be nice though, because they do already have like such a good grasp on how those characters are, because all those characters are pretty fleshed out. Seeing a 6 remake would be nice for sure.
Like just the fact that at a certain point in 6, the entire world changes to the world of ruin. But just making that today would be like tremendous.
Yeah. They would have to change a lot, I think, if they wanted to. They would have to drastically change the story, I think. Because that means that they would have to basically make the whole world twice.
Yeah.
Where in that you can just kind of like change pixel colors, and then it's not hard to like add in a destroyed castle out of 17 pixels, as opposed to completely redesigning from the ground up this 3D model of a destroyed castle. Yeah, that would be tough. I would hope to see it, but I bet it'll be drastically different than just because of how open-ended everything is in that game.
It's and that's also like with 7, because 7 the remake takes place entirely in Midgar, and there's very little like open world kind of stuff to begin with. I'm so fucking interested in seeing what the fuck they're gonna do with the next installment. Like, do we get to walk outside? Or are we just going to teleport to the next location? And instead of like walking outside, is that the point where they're gonna have a cutscene to do something? Because I mean, 15 had an open world, a pretty huge one. So I mean, it's you can't do it. I think the problem with 15 is that the open world is fucking boring. And every like town and stuff was just really boring. So if they do like an open world 7, the first place where you go after Midgar is to Calm. Are they gonna build Calm? Are they gonna have it? Do you walk to Calm, or is it just gonna be a cutscene to Calm? Can you like go walk in Calm, Or is it just gonna be a cutscene of the characters going to the inn and then the flashback starts with Cloud? Like, this is the sort of shit that I've been thinking about for the past like week.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of questions for it for sure. Like, I don't know, in the original, were you ever able to actually go back to Midgar?
Yeah.
So do you think that you'll ever, like, you can just go back to Midgar in this? Because that's, I mean, that's a whole other game.
Yeah, no, yeah. The original, you got the story went back to Midgar, so you had to go back to Midgar when you did the assault on Midgar. It was really like late game. You could also, through massive side quests, you could get a key that opened up the door back to Midgar. That was the only way to get Tifa's best weapon, I think, in the game. The assault on Midgar was a little bit different, where you did not walk back in. I think you took the high wind and just jumped out.
Yeah. So that wouldn't be too bad to do, because then they would just have a Midgar-esque area to put you in instead of actually having the whole of Midgar in. But that's 2 to 3 games away.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing, like, because Square hasn't. They're just saying this is the first installment in the remake. A lot of people are talking about a trilogy, me included, but it's never stated anywhere that this is a trilogy. So I mean, is it 3 games, 4 games, 5 games? How many games? 7 games? Who the fuck knows? Because we just played Midgar at this point. Now, admittedly, Midgar is a huge portion in the first game too, or the original. But there's so many fucking locations around the world, and there's a massive amounts of plot is going to happen before the game ends, like the whole story ends. So how much is the second part of the remake gonna be? Is it because what is going to happen next, if they do what the original did, is we're gonna have the Cloud flashback to Nibelheim, and where Cloud is retelling the fake story of him and what happened. And it's a huge section story-wise of the game, and I'm wondering, like, how much are they gonna make of that game in that way? How much are we gonna, like, play that section versus just having a cutscene?
Yeah, I think the tough part going forward is going to be finding, and they may just make them, they may just make some hard decisions, but is finding, like, those beginning and end points for however many other parts we have. Because Midgar is super nice. It's very clean cut. Like, you start the game in Midgar, and until you leave Midgar, that is the game. You're there for a very large chunk. So it's easy to make that distinction, but I am curious how they'll decide, because I can think of one other, whenever Aerith dying would be another benchmark in the game, but that's not really that far ahead in the original from where we're at. So I am curious how they're going to decide where exactly to chop these episodes up.
One is definitely Aerith dying. Spoilers.
I hope they don't do it.
If they don't do it, then you will have riots in the streets.
At least give an option. Like, not.
Why? Why
not? It's a remake.
It's integral to the goddamn story that she dies. It is because she dies that the planet is saved in the end.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
But it's a remake. They can change the story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with them taking liberties, but even I have my limits. I personally, Sully was saying that he thinks that the next installment would end at the Temple of the Ancients, and I've been trying to piece together in my head, like, the in what order does things happen where you get to the Temple of the Ancients, and is Aerith dead at that point? And she's not dead at that point. But but you go from, it's gonna be like calm flashback, then avoid Midgar Zolom, through the cave, Junon, across the sea, then go to, that's a lot, because there's like gold saucer and, oh yeah, it's not gonna be until the temple, for sure, not, because even after gold saucer you have the pit under the gold saucer, then you go to Cosmo Canyon and do all that shit there, then you go to Rocket Town, you launch the rocket and shit, Sid joins the party, you get the tiny Bronco, and then you go to the Temple of the Ancients. Yeah, that's like fucking half the game right there. No way that's gonna be the entire part.
Yeah.
Or like one part. I'm calling it. It's gonna end in Costa del Sol. After the boat ride, after Junon.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see Junon being a much bigger area than it was in the original. For sure. I could see Junon and I don't know what was the town that Yuffie's from?
Wutai.
Wutai. Yeah, I could see that being a much bigger portion of the game as well.
Wutai was completely optional in the original game.
Right.
But I do think they're gonna make Wutai not optional.
I think so too. Yeah, I think Yuffie's too popular to not put her in.
Oh, they're definitely gonna put Yuffie and Vincent in the game. I mean, they can't have the they can't have them not optional, and they can't skip them.
Right. Yeah. Well, what I mean though is like I don't see, what I was gonna say was I don't see this game going the same route in acquiring her as the old game. You know, where you've got to like run around in the forest or whatever. It just doesn't. It's just not gonna have that style of gameplay. So I think for us to get Yuffie, they almost have to make, unless they shoehorn her in somewhere else, which is entirely possible. But I think to get Yuffie in your party, they have to make you go to Wutai, or at least that's the best option to do it.
Yeah, I think that makes the most sense because you acquiring Yuffie is optional in the original. You can get her anywhere, like at any time, so they can completely choose at this point where you get Yuffie in the game. And going to Wutai makes the most sense. I think it was never explained in the original why Yuffie was not in Wutai, or how the fuck she even got to the forest by Junon in the first place.
Yeah, well, I think you can find her in any forest.
I think it's 3 different forests.
Is it 3 different ones? Okay.
It's specific ones on every continent, I think.
Okay.
But the one because I think there's one by Junon, and I think there's one by Nibelheim, and a third somewhere else. I'm not sure.
I think I got her from the one by Nibelheim, is where I ended up picking her up.
But it's another like reason why I think the second part will end in Costa del Sol would be because in the original you fight Genova in the boat, and it is a pivotal fight in the original. I mean, pivotal. I think it's the first battle you have with Genova in the original. I'm assuming it's going to be a big battle in the remake too. So would it be in Costa del Sol? Is either way. It's a place where the story kind of it goes like down, takes like a breather, and like, I mean, ending on a big battle and then going into a breather seems kind of like what you do in when you cut off things.
Yeah. For sure. I guess I'm just not remembering all the little plot points in 7 that happen between, because in my mind, like, Aerith dying doesn't really happen that late in the game overall.
Because there's after you get Sid and Rocket Town, you go to the Temple of the Ancients. You have Aerith still there. That's where Cloud loses his mind, I think. I'm super hazy too on the details on the original, like when Aerith dies. I know where it is, but I don't remember why you go there or when you go there.
Yeah.
But overall, it's still like, because I know how the remake ends, and it is very clear that they've taken huge fucking liberties with the remake. It's like me speculating where the second part would end is definitely kind of stupid, because if they take similar kinds of liberties, then anything could fucking happen at this point. I mean, I just want people to play the game so they can see the ending.
Anything like Aerith not dying?
She will die, North. There's no fucking way. I mean, it is quintessential to the story itself that she dies.
Yeah, I think that Aerith dying is like one of the biggest moments in gaming.
Yes.
So I don't, as much as I would like for them to give everyone the middle finger, I think it's too important that it has to happen.
People who have never played 7 knows that Aerith dies.
Yeah, I've known Aerith dies for a very long time, and I only played 7 like last year.
And I still haven't played it, and I still know all that stuff.
Oh, I thought you had played the game.
No.
Just watched a bunch of speedruns that Sully has done.
A lot of it. Yeah.
It skips the most of the game, though. But yeah, 7 is obviously, because this is such a high profile game, there's been a lot of pushback at the game too, or not a lot, but there's been notable pushback from a few corners of the internet. And
They're wrong.
They're wrong, yeah. They're objectively, their opinion is wrong. I don't like, and honestly, I don't know how you can't look at this game and not see the value of this game. Like, let's say you hate this game. How would you ever explain hating it? The combat system is fucking solid. It flows awesomely. There's a lot of different abilities you can learn. And you have to think. There's small battles that actually require you to think. And the game looks phenomenal graphically. It's very beautiful to look at. The voice acting is fucking phenomenal again. The story, I think, is very, very good. Again, you can think the story is fucking horseshit, but I think you can't argue that the story is not well presented. And I don't know. I think if anybody just says that it's a shit game, you're a fucking hater. I honestly believe that.
Yeah, I think if you go into it and your reasoning behind it being garbage is that the story is bad, you had warning. Like you already knew, you could have known the story. It's already there. It's been out for 20 odd years. Like if you bought it and you think the story is garbage, that's your fault for buying a game that was spoiled 23 years ago.
A lot of the people that I've seen that has said that the story is garbage, they say it's garbage because of the things that they've changed. And since I've completed it and I've seen the ending, if you think the game has gone off rails when you're in the mid portion of the game or whatever, where there's changed a little here and a little there, the ending is completely different from the original. It's not the same game anymore. There's shit that happens in the ending of the remake that makes me question how they could go forward with the next installment.
Dang.
Maybe they don't do it.
Yeah, maybe this was it.
Yeah, maybe
the biggest
the best you can get.
Yeah. On the note that Trevor says in chat that he heard the game was too easy, I've heard that people are mad that it's too hard.
I've died quite a bit. And by quite a bit, I mean like 3 or 4 times, which, I mean, in RPGs, it's not difficult to avoid dying. But in this, I'm having a hard time avoiding dying.
Yeah, I'm serious when I say that. Even the normal random battles, if you can't mash through them. Some of you can, but there's some battles that you actually have to like think what to do.
Yeah. like the last boss fight. I did a boss fight last night against some hedgehog pies, and the boss wasn't even doing the fighting. It was the two regular ass hedgehog pies beating my ass, and I died to just two regular hedgehog pies because they just got the best of me. You know, they were powered up, so they took less damage and did more damage. But still, you'd think that like a regular enemy, even powered up, wouldn't be that tough. But I didn't kill either one of those hedgehog pies. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, if people say it's too easy, then play hardcore.
I think they were like talking about the easiest difficulty. It's too easy, but I feel like it's made for people who just want the story, nothing else.
I think that's what it says too, like on the tooltip for it.
Pick fucking normal then.
But it's too hard.
Jesus fucking Christ. This is one of these things that I fucking like. When we talked about Sekiro and its difficulty, and when the entire debate that should Sekiro have an easy mode, this is like just shut the fuck up and play the game. I mean, if it's too hard, put it on easy. If it's too easy, then put it back on normal. You can even switch between them. If the fight's too hard, put it easy. If the fight's too easy, put it on normal. Like,
yeah.
Do we need something between easy and normal? Do we need like something in between there?
Yeah, it's people just like to complain. I think it's like if you know, you've got this whole group of people that are saying it's too easy because you can spam through just by hitting square, but then at the same time, I guarantee you, there's people saying that you can't beat it just by attacking, so it's too hard. It's like, I can beat it by only pressing one button. I can't beat it by only pressing one button. I'm pissed either way.
It's still an amazing game, though.
Yep, absolutely amazing. Would recommend. 10 out of 10.
10, yeah.
Legitimately, right now.
Game of the year.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've obviously not played Cyberpunk. For me, when this year is over, either this is my game of the year or Cyberpunk is the game of the year. I have so much faith in CD Projekt Red to not fuck up Cyberpunk that I know that I will love that game. And I mean, it's very stupid for me to say that because I am intentionally hyping up the game for myself, and I'm setting myself up to fail. But I mean, I've replayed Witcher 3. I still in the midst of my replay, and every time I fire up Witcher, I'm like, can't fucking wait for Cyberpunk. Can't fucking wait for the master developers from Poland to deliver the greatest video game experience to me, personally to me.
They're just gonna show up at your house with like a hard drive, and they're like, "It's already installed, Lord Tom."
Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Thank you, CD Projekt Red. Call me.
Also, if you want to be on the podcast, like, hit us up.
Got an open spot right now. You can take.
But yeah, 7 is an awesome game. I truly highly recommend 7 for fucking everyone. Before we go, let's quickly talk about Prey. Will not take nearly as long as this discussion about 7. Took way longer on 7 than I ever expected. Good job, guys. I played Prey, a game that came out in 2017. I played it back in 2017 and absolutely hated it. And shortly after I stopped playing Prey, I slowly realized that I've been playing Prey the wrong way. Now that may sound stupid. How can you play a game wrong? I went into Prey thinking that I will play a straight up 100% shooter game, a FPS shooter game. That is not what Prey is. It is a first-person game, and you do have guns, so you can call it an FPS game if you want to. But it is so much more. It's exploration and stealth and level up and RPG elements and reading, which I still skipped because I'm that kind of guy. And honestly, the second time around with Prey, I absolutely fucking loved it. It's a real good game. I can even show you a little bit of Prey. Let me pull this shit up here. Yeah, let's actually, first stream. Sounds good. Put it right there. Actually, not really right there. Put it right there. Please load. Thank you. Actually, not really right there either. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just clicking randomly on the video. Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. This is how Prey looks. And a huge part of Prey is it is chopped up into levels. And all these levels are open world within themselves. Meaning that you can explore them at your leisure, and depending on what you've spec'd in your thing, your levels, you can access places you otherwise wouldn't access. I went obviously for hacking and that stuff. Hacking is overpowered in this game. You can hack everything. Doors, computers, you get into all places if you just spec into hacking. Which is honestly kind of like, I think a little bit stupid. I think they should have had more computers and safe locks where they require either the code for it, or a key or whatever, password or whatever.
Or at least have like an option, like either you can hack the system or you can just like pull the door out of its hinges and throw it away.
Yeah, I mean, they do very early on in the game. They say that you can tackle objectives however you want to, and it is true. Like, you can, depending on what you spec into, that's usually how you then overcome that obstacle. But it is neat that you can do certain things that and get into places in a certain way depending on how you've spec'd yourself. I found myself actually enjoying this game also because of the story and how it was presented. There's also, like, I'm not gonna spoil the game, but it has definitely some subverting your expectations kind of deal by the end of it. And very early on, the game asks you to make tangible decisions where you do a thing and then go back on that thing.
It almost reminds me of like BioShock.
That is very fair. I think that's very fair. It has not really too much to do with BioShock, but it fucks with your mind somewhat. And
yeah, that's what I was about to say, that the game definitely like fucks with your mind. And what this game reminds me of is the System Shock. I think it's very similar.
And I think that's very fair too. What it does not remind anyone of is the original Prey, because this has nothing to do with the original Prey.
The original was a third-person like action adventure thing, right?
Yeah, and super alien.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if this was related to that or not.
It is. This is a reboot of the original.
I did not know that. They even had a sequel to that, didn't they? Wasn't there a Prey 2?
I'm not sure if it ever came out. But this game certainly I would recommend this game, and I mean highly recommend this game. I really actually enjoyed this a lot. And I don't really I don't know really the real reasons why I hated so much when I originally played this. The load times are certainly they're a little bit atrocious. What happens when you load into a new area, you get a loading screen, and then it transitions to the second loading screen, where you wait for it to load a little bit, and then you press a button, and then you can play. But why they have two loading screens is beyond me. It makes no sense. And I do remember that back in 2017 on my old rig, the load times were very long. They were not that long with my current rig, which I'm really happy about. This is just me flipping through this fucking computer for the next 20 minutes.
Now you said it was like mission based, so is there really only like one load screen per level though? Like do you just load in and then you don't have to worry about loading anything again?
Yeah, no. It loads in one area at the time. But because the space station that you roam around, it is semi-open world. You can freely move between these locations. So every time you load into a new area, it goes through a loading screen.
I wasn't sure if like each mission was like its own self-contained spot that you only had to load into once or what.
Oh no. It is open world in a sense that you get like go to this place and then you go to that place, and then when you have your side missions, they put you like wherever in the ship or outside the ship. Like the outside sections of this game is actually, in my opinion, really impressive, because it's a true 3D environment, and you're moving in a 3D space, and there's actual shit to find outside. And it is actually like, it's cool to find that stuff outside that you don't have a marker or anything. You just see it in the distance and you're like, can I go to that? And then you just fucking go to that thing. And admittedly you find like something minuscule, but it's still super fucking cool to find shit in this game. I love exploring in this game because you get stuff everywhere. It's constant rewards. The rewards are not great or huge or anything most of the time, but it's still that you get something for exploring. And I feel that there's so many games out there these days that where you explore, and if you don't get anything, it's a huge blow. Look, give me a med pack, give me like 5 buckaroos of the currency your game is using, anything. And I mean, you find shit constantly in this game. I recommend this game. I truly do.
How much does it usually go on sale, or do you have any idea how much it usually is?
I have no idea. I bought this game on release, so it doesn't show up on me anywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. It's definitely got my interest. I really enjoyed the BioShock games, and I know it's not quite the same, but I do enjoy the almost like slower, methodical type FPSs like this, where it's not all just run and gun.
Mm-hmm. It is definitely more methodical, and you set your own pace what you do. And I really enjoy the choices you make, because they're real choices. And yeah, I mean, sure, by the end of it, you can have like an endless debate on how much the game really changed based on your choices. What's important to me is that they feel like real choices. And certainly when the game presents to me like option A and option B, and whatever I choose, the other one doesn't exist anymore in any way, then it feels like a real option. And yeah, you have a bunch of level up things you can do in this game. This is only half of what you see on the screen right now. I'm not going to really talk about the second half, in case anybody just wants to play this game blind. But it's a good game. I really enjoyed Prey way more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I played that game like a year ago, a little bit. a good amount of time, but it just it takes time to like because I never played anything like that because it's so different. It's not a horror and it's not a straight up action game, but it's kind of action, but it's sort of like exploration game. I don't know. It's very hard to say what kind of game it is, but you just have to like take your time, go one step at a time, try to survive, and hope that you make it to the next area.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably take a look at it. That looks like a game I'd enjoy just playing in my downtime.
It is definitely like reminiscent in some ways to Bioshock and System Shock. But I think Bioshock and System Shock are way more similar to each other than what Prey is similar to either of them.
Yeah. Have you played the Bioshock games, North?
The latest one, the Infinite, yeah.
Well, I mean, any of them.
Yeah. I have played that one. Never finished it. I know I was like super close to the end, but never finished.
Well,
yeah.
Ain't that one of the gaming sins? To not fucking finish a Bioshock game where like there's huge goddamn plot twists right at the fucking end.
That's what I do.
What's the point of playing a Bioshock game if you're not gonna fucking finish it?
Yeah. I don't know, for the gameplay, not the plot change. I don't know.
I think Would You Kindly is still one of the best twists.
Yeah, no shit. Like, no shit. The would you Kindly thing is so fucking... I mean, because I remember when I played Bioshock 1 for the first time, and this was like way back before I looked at any forums or anything. I didn't know anything. People just told me in my class that Bioshock 1 is a good game. And when that Would You Kindly thing was revealed, fuck me, my mind was blown.
Yeah. Just done.
Yeah. And I mean, I know Bioshock Infinite goes into some very weird places by the end of it. And I mean, I remember the debate that was going on if it's like a good ending or a bad ending. It was kind of funny to see people squabble about like opinions more than anything. Especially the people who publicly said, I don't know if this is a good ending or not. I enjoyed the ending of Bioshock Infinite. I mean, sure, it's confusing as fuck, and if you really think about it, it starts to have holes everywhere, but just don't think about it.
I've beaten 1 and 2, but I have not. I've played maybe an hour of 3, and that's about it. I really need to beat it, because I know it's a fun game, but I just haven't gotten back around to beating it yet.
See, I would recommend Bioshock 1 and Infinite to anybody just because of the endings or the resolutions. 3 is 3 is a little bit racist, but it's intentionally racist because it depicts racism in the game in a very certain way. But it definitely has racism in it.
I do think 2 is a much different game than 1 or 3.
I would not recommend 2 to anybody.
Really? I actually enjoyed 2 just because I liked playing a Big Daddy and just going around and fist drilling people's beeholes. That was just fun.
Yeah. I mean, 2 was not developed by Rational Games, and I don't recognize 2 as a real Bioshock sequel.
Yeah,
Trevor likes all the bad games.
I think it's a much different experience. I don't think it's a bad game at all, but like, well, first of all, 1 spooked me a lot. I couldn't play 1 at night. It scared the crap out of me.
It's a spooky game.
2 was a good game. I didn't. There definitely wasn't. It was spooky. Anyway, 2 is like you're the one doing the spooking. Like you're the Big Daddy with your little sister or whatever, and you're going around and just beating the crap out of everybody. And I really enjoyed that.
And then 3 is the best escort mission game ever made.
You're gonna have to argue with every Resident Evil fan about that.
I mean, they could suck a big fat fucking dick around that thing. Infinite is the best escort mission game ever made. I will fight people to the death.
Yeah,
I played
hated
1 and
the
2
fact
back
that she
back
ran
recently.
away like every fucking second.
at least she found things, right? Didn't she like?
Yeah,
Didn't she like run off and find money and ammo and stuff and come back and give it to you?
Yeah, she interrupts the gameplay every 5 seconds. Hey, I found ammo.
She
I
rips
think
me out of this out of my.
I think I watched
suspension
Trevor
of
play
disbelief.
the third one, and like Trevor would say like, "Oh, I need like $25. Like, I hope she would give me that money," and it would be like 2 seconds, and she would be like, "Oh, I found some quarters." Like, what? How did you know I needed right this amount of money to buy that upgrade? Like, how did you know?
Yeah, I mean, the game obviously gives you those things that you're low on. So, I mean, you'll never run out of ammo in the game because she always finds ammo for you. And you'll never run out of salts or anything because the equivalent to mana in the game. But yeah, I fucking Joe, play Infinite because
Okay.
I want to hear like from a rational adult what they think about the ending.
From a rational adult, I'll have to find one, but I'll let you know what they say.
Because when I played Infinite, I was way younger, and everybody else on the internet was way younger. But it's definitely like Infinite's ending is if you really start to think about it, it has holes everywhere. And I've seen video essays just about the ending where people try to like really convince you that it's super profound and makes sense on every level, and I'm like, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
Prey had also an ending that actually I did not know the ending of Prey, and I was amazed that a game of this caliber, like, because the ending is very notable in Prey, and I'm amazed that I haven't seen the ending anywhere. Maybe just people don't talk about Prey enough. I think Prey is like the same with Alien Isolation. I would probably rate it higher than the initial critical reception. I mean, I fucking hated the game back 3 years ago.
I almost feel like no one talks about it because of what it was rebooted from. Because that one was so well, it was overshadowed by Infamous. So I think whenever people talk about this Prey, or even think about it, they just think about something that's not as good as something else. Because the original game came out like right at the beginning of the PS3, whenever they released Infamous and all of that, and Infamous was they were very similar games. So I have a feeling that too many people associate this with the original game.
Yeah, I don't get it. Why would they keep the IP? Why not change it? If they had bad luck with it, why not change it?
Yeah, because I'm assuming Prey 2017 and Prey 2006, they don't really have anything in common. And it puzzles me a little bit why they chose to call this one Prey. I mean, the only reason I figured is because Prey was already established. And I mean, it's way harder to sell this as Morgan's trippy space trip. So that's what it pretty much is.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I do recommend, if it goes on sale or whatever, I do recommend picking up Prey 2017.
It is $30 right now. I went ahead and looked.
So
still, even at full price, it's not really that expensive.
Yeah, no, 30 buckaroos ain't bad. I think I sunk 12, 13 hours into it.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
But I did do a lot of the side quests. You can definitely, this is one of those games that depending on how much you do is also like corresponds to your playtime. I didn't do every side quest. There's also, and I appreciate that they exist. There's side quests that are like fake endings to the game, which I enjoyed. Like, and it's done in a way where it's like, you know, you're ending the game, and then it's like, nah, you're not supposed to end here, and it's like, it just boots you back.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that.
I think the game even goes with, it says something like, yeah, restart or whatever. It's so good. And I mean, I was afraid that I would get like the credits and everything, because I knew I was going like prematurely end the game. And I enjoyed that they just don't let you do that.
That is pretty good. It's like in Hades, whenever you beat it, it's like the narrator says, "Oh, you finally escaped hell, but the game's not over yet, so let's just pretend you didn't," and then puts you back in. Yeah, that's funny. I love whenever games are like that. That's so stupid. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely give Prey a shot.
Yeah, I do recommend. Either as a stream game or just a casual. I think it works as both. The reason I did not stream Final Fantasy VII more, aside from that one time, is because I noticed very quickly that I'm way into the game, and it devolved into like me just sitting silently playing a video game. I had like a real hard time like looking at chat and like talking. I was just sitting there. Thanks for watching, everyone.
All right. Guess that's what we'll call it.
that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, 2 hours and 5 minutes has passed on the recording, and these are 2-hour episodes.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah.
Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave. I mean, okay, so yeah, next episode will be in 2 weeks, the second Wednesday of next month. I don't know if it's exactly 2 weeks or whatever. And the plan is next month, either the first episode of next month or the second episode of next month, to have like a full 2-hour spoiler talk of Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I mean, we'll spoil the remake from start to finish, and we'll probably compare the games to the original, so we'll spoil the original from start to finish too. I'm gonna geek out for 2 hours completely. I know Sully will geek out more than I do. Joe will probably geek out by default because Joe's a geek. And maybe Trevor and North are on the episode, maybe not. I don't know yet. Those boys need to like figure that shit out themselves if they want to be on an episode where we only talk about Final Fantasy VII. Well, yeah.
All right, that's it.
That's it. My name is Tamalo. We had Granigi and Northern Savant here. We stream sometimes. Follow the channels, whatever. Smile and away, boys. Smile and away.